Hello everybody. Today we are going to be going over a hybrid werewolf slash werebear theory craft that I'm doing, and it honestly looks pretty sweet. It does require a couple legendaries to get going, namely Aspect of Nature Savagery and one other that's going to really make this build pop off, but it is going to be pretty fun, I think. So let's go ahead and get into it. So first off, your options are claw or maul. Now, there is no particular reason why I chose one or the other. So, shapeshift into a werewolf and claw at the enemy. And claw at the enemy for 28% damage. It's just a solid single target spirit generator. If you want AoE, you can go maul, but and it also is potentially worth it if you want to go like this, and then do something like this and get both. And get something like this and get, like, a point to maul, and then like maybe maybe this fortify thing. The reason for that is this whole build is gonna revolve around Aspect of Nature Savagery, Werewolf skills function as Storm skills, and Werebear skills function as Earth skills for the Nature's Fury key passive. So keep in mind, this is like this build can't even be done until you actually get to your keystone passive, so keep that in mind. But what it does is, casting an Earth skill has a 20% chance to trigger a free Storm skill the same category. In addition, casting a Storm skill has a 20% chance to trigger a free Earth skill the same category. So how that's going to work, so if I'm sitting here clawing things, well, I'm going to also randomly start mauling things as well, right? And vice versa. So, that being said, move on down to the next one. We have Shred and we have Pulverize. Now, my assumption is that having this ranked up is going to cause it to do more damage on the procs. That's why I have 5 points into this. So we're going to go Shred. The reason why is it does 3 attacks, so you have 3 chances to do a lucky hit to get a Pulverize proc. So you have more potential to proc Pulverize than Pulverize would have to proc Shred, I believe. After that, Maximum Spirit is increased by 9. Just core skills deal more damage, and just basic skills generate more spirit to compensate for the core skill thing. Now, the cool thing about Pulverize is we have this. It makes it an Earth skill. After casting Pulverize, Tectonic Spikes continue to deal a bunch of damage, so a pretty high damage Pulverize legendary. And then Shockwave Aspect, so whenever you Pulverize, it's going to create a Shockwave that travels forward, so you'll be shredding and then just randomly pulverizing as well, which I think is going to be super duper sweet. Moving on, don't really need any defensives because we're going to be getting a lot of fortify from our legendaries and stuff, so it's not like we're going to really have trouble surviving. And because we're constantly shifting back and forth because of the Nature's Fury passive, you will be pretty much at fortified 100% of the time. So we are going to take Vine Creeper. That's because we have a pretty cool werebear legendary that I'll go over in a second, but a Vine Creeper periodically emerges from the ground every 7 seconds and applies 50.4% of poisoning damage over 6 seconds to enemies in the area. Vines strangle all surrounding enemies, so all it does is it just is an AoE immobilize that also puts poison on everything. And then whenever things are poisoned by it or immobilized by it, you have a 20% increased crit chance, which is just pretty high number, pretty solid. Going on to the next one, Trample and Rabies. So I'll rank up both of these, so they both just do more damage, so you can proc Trample and get Rabies. Now I'm going to opt for the Trample as the active, specifically because we have this right here. Damaging a poisoned enemy with a werebear skill will instantly deal 120 to 150% of the poison damage. So when you use a werebear skill, it's going to auto proc all of the poison that you have on them. So it's like you pretty much are poisoning them with the werewolf abilities, and then you set it off with this. It's like you should make them explode once you use a werebear ability. And you're going to be getting the werebear abilities for free that are going to be constantly proccing this. The next thing we have is Aspect of Trampled Earth. It now summons 6 landslide pillars of Earth during its duration that deals 70 to 80% of normal magic damage. Trample is now also a nature magic and Earth skill. This is really important that it says a nature magic and a Earth skill for reasons. So when the Nature's Fury key passive triggers a free skill, your non-ultimate cooldowns of the opposite type are reduced by 4 to 8 seconds. So, you can put multiples of like you could put trample and rabies both on your bar and just kind of press both of them, because your cooldowns for both of these abilities are going to get reduced as you're just kind of casting each other, right? So it says 4 to 8 seconds. That's pretty huge, because that means you like this is a 12-second cooldown. So you're talking about turning rabies into like an 8-second cooldown, right? Yeah, so pretty cool, pretty cool. And it also does not say, it says non-ultimate cooldowns of the opposite type are reduced by a free skill. So I'm assuming that it does mean it's going to only activate it within like the Wrath, or like within the same category, but if it doesn't, that would be pretty crazy. Next off, to go into the ultimate stuff, we're going to go shapeshifting. So since we're shapeshifting all the time, this is just 15% increased damage. And then shapeshifting fortifies you, which is going to keep your health fortified, which is going to give you 40% increased damage, because you're just always fortified. Okay, and then Grizzly Rage. So I'm opting to take the Werewolf Grizzly Rage, and that's just because if you take the Werewolf Grizzly Rage, that means while you're in Werewolf, you'll be proccing all of the bear abilities with the wolf abilities, because if you haven't used this, it pretty much makes it to where you can only use the werewolf abilities, or you can only use the bear abilities. So you ideally want this to be werewolf, because then it'll let your pulverizes and other stuff go off. I'm assuming, right? Obviously we won't know until we get into the game, but I'm assuming that's how that's going to work. So that'll be crazy, because it'll pretty much give you access to both different types of abilities, even while you're in, Grizzly Rage form. So, then obviously Nature's Fury key passive. So, going into the boons, so that nature magic thing is pretty important, okay? So, nature magic skills have up to a 15% chance to reduce the cooldown of your ultimate skill by 2 seconds. So this is kind of cool, because that means that your trample, when you're hitting things with trample, because that has become a nature magic skill, you're going to potentially be reducing the cooldown on Grizzly Rage. Now Grizzly Rage is only going to have, I think, like a 28-second cooldown is going to be what its effective cooldown is after you actually get out of the form. So it's not like it's going to be very long, but you get to reduce that even further with your trample ability. The other option is every 10th kill will cause your next earth skill to overpower, which your pulverize is an earth skill, so this would actually proc on that, but it's just not really that good. I think calm before the storm's better. Calamity, extend the duration ultimate skills by 25%. I went Eagle, Scythe Talons, and Avian Wrath just for damage, and then 10% reduced damage from elites. So Paragon wise, you can actually look to do both of these. So it says while in werebear form, you deal 1% increased damage up to 50% for every 1% in current enemy's life percent between you and the enemy. So when you're in werebear form, you can deal a bunch of damage, get a bunch of extra spirit back with that. Your earth skills deal 30% increased damage to enemies afflicted by crowd control. So this is pretty good to get as well, because we know that your pulverize is now an earth skill, meaning that if you use the entangled roots on it, or vine creeper on it, you're not only getting the 20% crit, you're also getting 30% increased damage as well if any of your earth skills proc while they're CC'd. And then let's see, storm skills deal 30% increase. So I don't think any of our skills are technically storm skills for the purpose of this, so that's not going to be crazy useful. We're also going to be poisoning stuff, so heightened malice. When there's 3 or more poisoned enemies nearby, you do 45% increased damage, so that's another damage increase. After shape-shifting, your spirit costs are reduced by 10% for 5 seconds. You could get that if you wanted, but another interesting one to get, though, is this. So nature magic skills have a 15% chance to entangle the enemy with vines, immobilizing them for 2 seconds, and putting in another poison on it. So that's pretty good, because if they're immobilized, that means you're also proccing this earth skill thing. So whenever you play this build, it kind of makes like you get to take the werewolf, the werebear, and and then after spending 75 spirit, deal 30% increased damage. So really, you got 30% increased damage here. You're getting 45% here. You're getting another 50% here for your werebear abilities specifically whenever they're low life. And then you're getting another 30% here. So your Paragon is absolutely cracked, assuming that you can get all of these in Paragon, which you should be able to. Because you get 1 Paragon point for every quarter of a level. So, I mean, if you're getting 1 Paragon point for every quarter of a level, okay, 50 times 4. You're getting 200, so that means you're going to get access to 200 nodes here. So I'm assuming, or to clicking on 200 nodes, so I'm assuming that yes, you will be able to get quite a bit of these and actually make really good use out of them. I mean, you're talking, man, like you're talking a damage increase that other builds that I've come up with can't even get to because they just can't proc all of this, like, you know, like for example, the werewolf build isn't going to get this. It's also not going to get this, so that's like 80% damage, but this build will. So yeah, but yeah, so just to kind of recap, the idea of this build is using Nature's Fury and using this legendary right here to cause your werebear and werewolf skills to function as earth and storm skills effectively, and causing them to proc the opposite one as you use them. So you use claw, it procs maul. You use maul, it procs claw. You use shred, it procs pulverize. You use pulverize, it procs shred, etc., etc. And then to use the grizzly rage with the werewolf thing to get movement speed, and to also just get even more empowered, another damage increase to be able to cast more cool werebear abilities. And then you have this right here to instantly consume poisons anytime you use a werebear skill. So, I mean, pretty sick stuff considering this is going to poison, this is going to poison. Use this nature skill Paragon, that's going to poison. You're going to be just, it's going to be a little wild. A wee bit wild. But yeah, oh yeah, and then rabies is going to be poisoning things. So you're going to have a lot of poison on them. Quite a bit of poison on them. And then you're staying alive just by shape-shifting and getting tons of Fortify with Skinwalker's Aspect, as well as Natural Fortitude. Alrighty, so that's really it for this build. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I'll see you guys next time.